Londoners are no match for me. Ascalon! I don't care. Gotcha!
Good evening, Doctor. Can I help you?
Do you need assistance?
That would be nice of you, Doctor. Who knows what I may have caught you in my investigation.
If you persist in investigating the most pox-ridden boroughs of London, you must accept the risks.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell. Good evening, Christina.
Change your mind, Mr. Reid?
Do you need any assistance, Miss Popper?
It depends on the price of your medicine.
I am shocked that you would think I am that sort of man.
Forgive my suspicion. I'm so used to liars with good manners. Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, miss. Take care of yourself as best you can. Good evening, Mr. Whitaker.
It's Father Whitaker, my son. So, are you still lost in your rational delusions?
I have found Samuel, your disciple. I am afraid I have bad news.
I already expected the worst. He should already have come back. He is dead, isn't he?
Yes, he is now. The epidemic took him.
Samuel steadily made donations to our cause. He would have rewarded you himself if you'd found me in that awful cemetery. Please accept this money.
Don't you fear getting sick yourself?
Faith gives me all I need, my son. If I must fall, then so be it.
No doubt your faith will prevail, but let me give you some extra protection against the devil's work. Medicine.
Blessed be your generosity, my son.
How is the sanitary situation evolving in Whitechapel these days?
Don't you hear the trumpets? The apocalypse is upon us, Dr. Reid. The final battle.
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye.
Soon the time will come when you will all be judged for your sins.
Good evening, Mr. Nithicott.
And good evening to you too, my good sir. Can I be of any help?
Do you need medical attention, sir?
It may be wise to let you prescribe me something. I don't feel like I should.
I understand your appetite for words and macabre beauty, sir. But you should be more careful.
The nutrition of my mind is more important than my physical health. But I appreciate your concern, sir.
I'll leave you alone, sir.
You. For there is no protection against malevolence and trickery.
Good quality. Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
Excuse me, sir. I have a few questions for you.
Another journalist? I didn't answer the first one, so piss off.
I'm not a journalist, I'm a doctor.
A doctor, you say? It's quite a rare breed in this part of town.
Really? But still, here I am. Dr. Jonathan Reid. At your service.
I'm Joe Peterson to some, but Colossus Joe to most. And I don't remember asking for your service, sir.
Harry doesn't seem happy living in Whitechapel. Why did you make him come here?
I've always put my son's interests above everything else, whatever he may think. Our house is small but affordable. The walls are thin, but the door is solid.
You really love your son, don't you, Mr. Peterson?
He's my pride and joy. Even if he hates me for the choices I make and pushes me buttons more than he should.
Do you have any regrets?
Only one. Not to have my beloved wife by my side. She died when Harry was little. My sweet Jane. She gave the boy confidence.
Since the criminal nature of your job means you could be arrested, are you not afraid of what would happen to your boy if you were?
No one will ever take my son away from me. If that ever occurred, I'd hunt the bastard down and rip off his head with my bare hands.
May I ask what you do around here?
I do whatever I want, and sometimes even more. Now sod off.
According to you, physicians are scarce in this part of town. Why is that?
Not familiar with this neighborhood, are you? I guess your fancy colleagues are too afraid of being stabbed in the back.
This part of town does have quite a reputation. Would you say it's justified?
Totally. Look at me, for instance. I always look my opponent in the eye before knocking him out.
Can I offer you my medical expertise, Mr. Peterson?
Keep your medicines for others.
There is a thin line between pride and stupidity, sir. Please take this medication. You'll feel better.
All right. I'll take it then. It's not like I don't appreciate the gesture.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Welcome, sir. Please, take a browse of my wares.
I am Dr. Reid. I would like to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Doctor? Interesting. I'm Barrett Lewis. Usually I don't have time to waste with talk, but at this hour of the night I can hardly refuse.
How is business around here?
Business? I had no business. Between this racket, theft, and customers getting scared, I'm losing money every day.
I see. Sounds like you blame someone in particular for your situation.
It's no secret Joe Peterson spends his time harassing merchants. But with me, he's trying to put me out of business once and for all.
Right then. Show me what you have.
Fancy buying something, sir?
You never lose your focus, do you? Do you need help, sir?
To be honest, I'd prefer you take a look at my stuff. I'd rather be rich and sick than the contrary.
I will see you later. Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis.
Let your guard down.
You again? What do you want this time?
How did you become the local bully everyone is afraid of, Joe?
There's no pride in roughing up poor bastards. But this is the only job I've found. And it pays well, too.
A job? So you're racketeering for someone else?
I got enlisted by the Wet Boot Boys, a gang from the docks. I'm their muscle for their dirty work.
You survive at any cost, even at the expense of others. Perhaps that's just the law of nature.
I don't care what you think, sir. I do what I have to do for my own reasons, and that's that.
I'm not sure Mr. Lewis would agree with your by all means necessary philosophy, sir.
Oh, do you really think he's the poor victim here? Barrett can be as sneaky as anyone. Long ago, I even called the bastard my best friend.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Fancy buying something, sir?
You never lose your focus, do you? Joe Peterson. He's the villain here, isn't he? But you seem to know each other.
I'd known Joe for years. I saw him box once or twice. He was a friend then. But these days, he's just another thug.
What can you tell me about Mr. Peterson? Besides his behavior toward you, obviously.
Colossus Joe was a decent boxer, good one even. But after his wife passed away, he found every excuse to stop training. Just wanted to pick fights with everyone.
Without making excuses for him, it's safe to say that despair can poison even the sanest mind.
We've all had some rough times, ain't we? But most of us don't use our fists to see us through.
And no one has ever stood up to this thug.
Nobody would be fool enough to stand against the Wet Boot Boy.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis.
Cheap price, good
You're
quality.
right. Where's
Come
my
on,
money?
take a look, don't be afraid.
Hello, Mr. Petrescu.
Hello, Dr. Reid. Come on in. If you want to talk to Dorothea, you must go across the courtyard and take the stairs.
We've not been formally introduced. May I ask your name and occupation, sir?
I am Darius Petrescu. I'm here to keep snitches and spies away from Dorothea. And I also run this little print shop.
So Dorothy's real name is not Crane?
Like myself and many people in this area, Dorothea is from occupied Romania. That's all you need to know.
She seems important to the community.
More than you can imagine. The West End does not want to hear of Whitechapel's misery. Dorothea is one of the few doing something about it.
Tell me everything you know about Camellia, the mute florist.
I do not believe in the afterlife, Doctor, but I'm almost convinced Camellia is an angel. She volunteered to give out our medical leaflets.
Are you not worried for her safety?
She is as brave as she is tough, and clever too. If only I had met her when I was younger.
Are you in love with Camellia, Mr. Petrescu?
Don't be stupid. If I had met her when I was younger, we could have won our revolution.
Who is she, really? Do you know where she's from?
She's not from around here, that's all we know. Camellia is not even her name. It's her favorite flower.
You say she has no close family?
Well, there's that awful poet who constantly follows her around like a lost puppy. A good man for sure, but a very poor writer.
How did you meet Nurse Crane, Darius? Why does she trust you?
I'm her oldest friend in England. Dorothea and I share many ideas about this country and about the country we left.
You mean occupied Romania, don't you? Even if not directly, I fought against your enemies.
Really? Then perhaps you have more in common with Dorothea than meets the eye, Dr. Reid.
I know you fought for your country when it was occupied, Darius. Tell me more about it.
I know my days are numbered, and I know I won't see my homeland again. But I fought for Romania all my life, and I will until my last breath.
But Romania escaped the grasp of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It's a free country again.
But it's not the country I fought for. My homeland is not appeased, Doctor. And I still see a dark future ahead for my people.
Do you need some help, Mr. Petrescu?
I am very tired, but that is all. I don't need you, Doctor.
Well, I think you do. Take this, and you'll feel better.
Free drugs from an English doctor? It must be my lucky day.
Goodbye, Mr. Petrescu.
By many. Even the flu is no match for the Swanborough cordial. Good evening. my dear colleague.
You look ill, Miss Swanborough. I wonder if your concoction will do the trick.
I have no doubt it will. But I'm not against a second opinion, Dr. Reid.
Well, there you have it. Take this remedy, but be discreet. It may damage your business otherwise.
Thank you.
Goodbye, Miss Swanborough. Perhaps we'll talk again.
If I could get some work in, everything would be better. What?
Shooting a boy in the middle of the street. Not the best thing to do, wouldn't you say?
What? You saw what happened? Who are you?
I'm Dr. Reid, and I'd like to ask you a few questions, if you promise me to set your gun aside.
No. Look, I'm not a violent man. I'm Benjamin Palmer, doctor. And no one can help me. Not even you.
Whatever the boy did, I'm sure he didn't deserve a public execution.
I swear I didn't want to hit him. It's just that I'm sick in the head, you see, and the boy just frayed me last nerve.
Perhaps you could focus for a moment and tell me your troubles.
I'm sick, broke, and my son just stole my pills. Everything's coming up roses.
I have found a very interesting letter. Your son planned to prove his worth to the gang by stealing your medicine.
Oh, I see. So the little bugger thought he could use his dad to build a reputation.
The gang's recruiter was dead when I found him. Perhaps you should take better care of your son.
I love my Albert, sir. Believe me. It's just... well, I'm an arsehole, I suppose. Anyway, thanks for the letter. This is for your trouble.
You don't seem well, Benjamin. Do you need any help?
I always feel ill, sir. It's like I'm never right.
I will see you later. A gun, alcohol, and a bad temper make a terrible cocktail, sir. Goodbye for now.
To all your problems.
Good evening, Benjamin. Can I help you?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Reid.
You don't seem well, Benjamin. Do you need any help?
I always feel ill, sir. It's like I'm never right.
I will see you later. A gun, alcohol, and a bad temper make a terrible cocktail, sir. Goodbye for now.
As long as you have the money. When science fails you, this elixir will give you faith again.
Are you all right?
The bastard hit the wall next to me. I don't even know if he meant to miss.
If you've been hurt, I can help you. I'm a doctor.
Name's Albert. Remember it. Now bugger off.
What happened? Did you really steal that man's medication?
Hey, I didn't do anything. It ain't me.
Yes, you did. And it was cowardly and inexcusable.
Sod off, mister. You ain't got no clue what's going on here. Bastard was a soldier in the war, so now he's got the right to shoot me.
It's true. I'm not familiar with this part of town. Perhaps you could help me.
I said sod off. Go find yourself another guide.
Goodbye, young man. Hello, sir. Sorry to disturb you at this hour. I'm a doctor inquiring about the epidemic. May I come in?
A doctor, you say? No, thank you.
It cannot be safe for a blind man to live here alone. Let me enter, sir. I swear I mean you no harm.
Well, a voice never lies, and yours clearly is the voice of a gentleman. All right, Doctor, come on in. What kind of gentleman pays visits to people at this late hour? So what is the name of my nocturnal visitor?
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid. As I already explained to you, I'm inquiring about the epidemic.
Dr. Reid? The eminent surgeon? My God, I'd never have expected a brilliant physician like you to knock on my door.
You flatter me, sir.
No, sir, I am flattered. I read all your work when I still had my sight. I loved it. I'm Mason Swanborough, by the way.
And what else have you learned about me, Mr. Swanborough?
I know you assisted Professor Carrel in France, and that you invented a new blood transfusion method based on his work.
Yes. Those were frustrating but exciting days. I loved it.
Yes, the thrill of research and discovery. This is what drives people like us, Dr. Reid. Oh, how I envy you.
Does someone take care of you in this isolated place?
My sister Loretta and I have our daily routine. Every morning and evening she comes by so we can talk and eat. Then she leaves and I stay.
Do you not appreciate your sister's visits?
Loretta is the best and worst thing that happened to me, and I believe she could say the same thing about me.
Where does your sister go?
Well, let's just say, she earns enough money for us both.
What's so amusing about that?
I won't hide the truth from you. Loretta sells a fake miracle elixir to the sick people of Whitechapel.
Do you know Braille, Mr. Swanborough?
I'm no expert, but I learned it in my spare time, yes. Why?
I found a strange document entitled Cure for Blindness. It's written in Braille, so I thought perhaps it was yours.
Really? Is that some kind of sick joke? Let me see.
Here it is.
This letter seems authentic. And it actually refers to an experimental cure for blindness. You have piqued my interest, Dr. Reid.
Could it be of any use to you?
No. This page is just a part of a larger diary. I'd be glad if you could find the other pages.
You seem unwell, sir. Do you need my assistance?
Actually, I feel worse than usual. Can you give me something?
No, not now. Later, perhaps. Goodbye, Mr. Swanborough. I'll leave you now.
What kind of gentleman pays visits to people at this late hour?
It's locked.
In this part of town at night, you're either brave or a fool. Wandering in this part of town at night, you're either brave or a fool.
Jonathan, old chap, how are you tonight? I've seen little of you of late.
I was conducting research in my room, away from the nightly routines.
Of course, of course. Worry not, I understand. The situation has been testy around here. I won't deny it, but we still stand.
What news do you bring?
The news is not good, my friend. We try to keep the epidemic at bay, but street violence is escalating quickly.
How bad is the epidemic?
It is killing the infected patients faster, in less than 2 days now. The only blessing is that they are contagious for a shorter period.
Tell me more about the violence.
Geoffrey McCallum seems to have sent his war dogs on a hunt. On a nightly basis, Prewen patrols exterminate every skal and vampire they find.
Have they come closer to the hospital?
No. They mainly focus on fallen districts or abandoned buildings. But they're growing in numbers. They must be recruiting heavily.
Have you any reliable friends in the West End who might assist me?
Unfortunately, you will be alone. Except for our ravishing red-headed acquaintance, of course.
What about the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole? Where are they?
There are only a few of us, and most others would not speak to you. I am the black sheep of our brotherly flock, you know.
What of my commission here at Pembroke Hospital?
Nothing to fear, Jonathan. Your position here is in no jeopardy. You remain one of us, and you are always most welcome.
I have received an alarming letter from Lady Ashbury. She wants me to meet her at her house. I have been granted safe passage.
Then you are twice fortunate. I have never been invited to the lady's mansion, and with the quarantine and controls, city access is nigh impossible.
Is the quarantine serving any purpose?
It is helping slow the propagation of the epidemic. But as long as we have no clue to its origin, its efficiency is limited.
Why have you never entered the lady's house? You are one of her good friends, are you not?
My dear Jonathan, you have no idea how reclusive the good lady normally is, nor in what great esteem she must hold you to let you into her domain.
Thank you, Edgar. We shall speak again later.
here again.
Watch out! Die! Snap it, Leech! Stupid beast!
It's locked. I cannot enter.
You must prepare, child, for the earth is bleeding and the harvest is upon us.
Stay away, whoever you are.
This is no time for petty quarrels, my champion. Can you not hear? The famished queen has awoken.
I am not your champion.
But of course you are, son. As surely as you are the blood of my blood.
I had to kill Mary.
I have known your pain, child. Do not succumb to it.
Silence! I dismiss you, now!
The land calls for a champion. All and everyone needs you.
Silence!
I'm tired of all these puppet shows.
They want war. I'll show them war.
Whatever this poor woman did, nobody deserves this kind of punishment. I have this thirst for blood. This is despicable.
You again? What do you want?
I've identified the men who stole from you. You were right. They were members of some self-proclaimed militia.
I knew it! Did you find the money too?
Yes, here it is. They thought they could finance their activities with it.
I never thought a man like you would be kind enough to... I misjudged you. Badly. Well, thank you, sir.
Will you give the money back to your comrades, then?
Fuck those bastards who fired me. I'll give the money to Miss Gillingham. Her son Jack was a friend of mine. He was killed recently.
I know you were friends with Miss Gillingham's son, Jack. Tell me about his death.
Jack's murder has been a shock to the neighborhood. A sign that the situation is now out of control.
Why is that?
There has always been tension between the Wet Boot Boys and members of the trade union. But a murder? That's a first.
Who killed him?
No one will ever know. One thing is certain. While Jack was alive, I had one less reason to drink.
Why does that upset you so much?
I wish I had found the time and words to tell him how important he was to me before it was too late. Another failure for Giselle Paxton.
Well, I'll leave you for now. Goodbye, Miss Paxton.
Glad to see you again, Mr. Reid.
Do you need my medical attention, Miss Paxton?
I can keep going, Dr. Reid.
Of course you can, Miss Paxton. But I wouldn't recommend it. Please, take this. You will feel better.
Thank you, Dr. Reid. Thank you. Really.
Is it not dangerous to work here at night?
As long as I have good legs, I can run away from trouble. The sad saint now provides me and my sister a bed and a roof. I don't want to lose that.
Are you homeless, Miss Paxton?
Mr. Hampton's night asylum is our new home now. It's a safe place for me and my sister.
What can you tell me about the sad saint?
It's just the nickname of Sean Hampton, the sad saint of the East End. He gave me shelter, and he's not always sad.
Goodbye, Miss Paxton. cannot enter. It's locked, all right. It's locked. So this is where she lives. What a splendid house.
Dr. Reid, welcome. How are you?
As good as one can be, considering the circumstances.
Yes. Death and affliction seem prevailing themes of late. Please,
Come in. We have much to discuss.
I hope I haven't disturbed you.
Not at all. Actually, I was counting on you visiting me tonight.
How strange, this painting. Beautiful, melancholic, yet with a haunting dignity.
Indeed. A long time ago, a friend asked me to paint this for him. But I kept it in the end.
I did not know you were a painter, my lady.
There are many things you do not know about me, young Ekon.
Why do you continue to mock me?
Please excuse my behavior, Jonathan. I tend to tease my friends when uneasy.
What is bothering you, my lady? Your letter was quite alarming.
We will talk about this in a few minutes. For now, I would like you to tell me about yourself. How have you been since we last met, my friend?
My sister Mary. She was made a vampire in the same way I was. She was the one killing all those people everywhere I went.
Vengeance is a powerful force for those betrayed. Made vampire through careless error. Victims by surprise.
In the end, she implored me to put an end to her misery. But still, I felt I had taken her life twice.
I am so sorry for my accidental cruelty. Had I known your dear Mary was still alive, I would never have sent you to pray for her soul in that church.
There is no need to apologize, my lady. Your words have been most helpful in these difficult times.
Thank you, my friend. If only we could have guided your poor sister through her terrible nightmare.
I came to the conclusion that my maker, whoever he might be, must be a powerful vampire. Certainly extremely old.
How have you reached this conclusion?
He is the only immortal I've seen appear in an ethereal form. His voice, his words seemed ancient. It was disturbing.
I am afraid you are right. The simple fact that your blood made Mary such a strong Ekon proves that you must be of ancient lineage.
I felt this power radiating like an aura every time he appeared.
Most ancestral vampires of England were killed by the Guard of Prewen half a century ago. I wonder who your maker could be.
You have no idea who he could be?
Some of the ancient ones fled England. Some may still be in hiding. All I know is you, my friend, are a pawn in some secret and obscure game of chess.
I think I should ask the questions, your ladyship. After all, it was you who invited me to settle this most urgent of matters.
Fair enough, Jonathan. The situation is critical. We do not have the luxury for etiquette.
Please do not misunderstand me. I would be delighted to discuss mundane matters and idle trivialities.
If we survive the dark nights to come, we shall have all the time in the world to speak, you and I. For now, please follow me, Jonathan.
I must say, your house is exquisite.
One of the advantages of living forever is having the time to be selective with one's furnishings. I took the liberty of having tea served.
You can still drink tea.
Can't keep it down, but I do so enjoy the aroma. Let us toast to make-believe. And of course to your health, Jonathan.
And to yours, my lady.
Please, call me Elizabeth.
So, my lady, why truly did you invite me here?
I've been asked to deliver an official invitation to meet the Ascalon Club.
Who are they? Really?
They are the embodiment of vampire law in Britain. Some say they influence the destiny of the Empire. Some believe they merely protect it.
How many are they?
Only a small number of powerful and deceitful immortals, all of them entangled in a sticky web of shadow cabinets, influencing trade.
Will they fight the guard of Priwen?
I doubt it. Fergal was Lord Redgrave's executioner forever and a day. By defeating that beast, you deprived them of a powerful weapon.
Why use you to contact me?
Because they know we are close. The Ascalon Club has many spies. Their main occupation is gathering information and then deciding how to use it.
Have they threatened you in any way?
Not at all. Their message surprised me at first, but it is only logical, considering the critical situation in London.
Why not ask for your help, since you are obviously a powerful and influential immortal yourself?
You have to understand that I am invisible to the eyes of Ascalon, for I am a woman. That suits me well, as long as they leave me alone.
Should I trust them?
Of course not. Do not misunderstand me. They can be very useful, but I believe their long-term goals differ from yours.
Why meet them then?
Because nothing truly important can be achieved in this city without their consent. They could be powerful allies in this current situation.
Should I lie to them?
We all lie, Jonathan. It falls to you to choose your behavior. The most important rule is to show them due respect.
They have done nothing but impede my investigation since I became known to them. Why would they want to see me now?
I guess they now see you as Ascalon material. They must have found out what happened to your sister. Proof of the potent blood flowing through your veins.
I'm not sure I can accept their invitation. I have seen their handiwork. How Fergal the Beast imposed the club's law.
You have no choice, Jonathan. Even I would not openly defy Lord Redgrave, the chairman of the Ascalon Club.
What can you tell me about Lord Redgrave? Who is he?
Lord Redgrave is the founder and chairman of the Ascalon Club. Most mortals know him as the Earl of Bristol. He is rich and extremely influential.
Have you met him?
Only on rare occasions, for he never goes outside the club. And women are not awarded membership, even immortals.
How old is he? How long has he been a vampire?
Lord Redgrave claims to be the progeny of William Marshall, the most valiant knight who ever lived. If that is true, he could be very old.
How powerful is his reach?
The Ascalon Club may be the most influential secret society in England. Not all its members are immortals, but they are all very powerful.
They are not all immortals. How is that?
The club is mainly comprised of political figures who seek the safety and expansion of the Empire. The most loyal are awarded immortality.
Any familiar or famous names?
As the richest, most relentless British tycoon, Aloysius Dawson is considered ideal Ascalon material and has been watched for years.
If you are convinced I must meet him, I will heed your advice.
Thank you, Jonathan. I understand your reluctance to brush shoulders with London's vampire elite. But we have no choice.
Is the situation that critical?
Yes. The Guard of Prewen has called for a second great hunt of our kind, and they will stop at nothing to eliminate us.
Will the Guard of Prewen and the Ascalon Club fight each other?
I doubt it. If Prewen really launched a great hunt, I think most of the Ekons I know would flee the country to escape the bloodbath.
I think I saw them kill an Ekon on the way to your house. They seem to have a list with names.
To launch another great hunt, they must have collected intelligence on vampire identities and whereabouts. They are a resourceful lot.
Should we fight back? I will not be hunted down like an animal again.
I admire your courage, Jonathan. But the best way to fight them is to put an end to the epidemic. This is the only way to clear the air.
What is a great hunt?
The first great hunt was launched about 75 years ago. In just a few nights, the Guard of Prewen located and destroyed most of the old British vampires.
Why start a second one?
Prewen has always seen us immortals as a threat to mankind. My guess is they suspect one or more of us is the cause of the epidemic.
How did you survive the first hunt?
I fled, Jonathan, like most vampires who survived that slaughter. And I secretly came back when I was sure they had lost my trail.
You should flee then. Leave London, the country even. I have seen the Guard in action. They are merciless.
Your concern warms my heart, Jonathan. But fear not. If the situation gets too dangerous, I shall retreat to my secret Scottish manor. I could hide you in my luggage, if you wish.
Thank you for the offer. I shall keep it in mind, but I have much to do here. There is a question I must ask you. Could Lord Redgrave be my maker?
I doubt it. If Lord Redgrave had made you his progeny, he would not have seemed so surprised when you demonstrated the strength of your lineage.
What is the plan?
The plan is we both try to save this city, you and I. Go to Ascalon, accept their proposition, and use their influence to promote your agenda.
How can I save London?
The epidemic is the priority. You must find its origin and put an end to it. This is the best way to solve the crisis.
What will you do?
I still have contacts and old friends in this town. I shall make some inquiries and attempt to learn more of the situation. We need clarity.
Will I ever discover the identity of my maker?
Maybe not, Jonathan. We know for sure you were made by a powerful vampire, but most of those fled England long ago.
One day soon, I will have to find the answer to this mystery.
And I shall help you in your research, I promise. For now, you must go to the Ascalon Club and play their game.
Will I see you again at the Pembroke Hospital?
No, you will find me here if you need me. I shall conduct inquiries alone, and we can then share our discoveries.
When will we meet again?
As soon as you meet Lord Redgrave, I suppose. Fear not, my dear. I shall only be a heart's beat away.
I want to thank you for all your support and your help, my lady.
Could you do me a last great favor and call me Elizabeth?
I should be honored, my lady.
Then it is settled. Finally, some good news in these dark hours.
Thank you. I appreciate the advice. I had best prepare myself to meet this Lord Redgrave now.
How thrilling to meet the Earl of Bristol in the flesh, so to speak.
Something tells me you're not very keen on the man.
Don't get me wrong. The gentlemen of the Ascalon Club are honorable, but their attitude and opinions are somewhat antiquated.
I see.
As long as they deny access to female applicants, I will leave them to their antediluvian considerations as to the natural order of things. Jonathan, promise me you'll be careful.
Of course. But why the fear in your voice?
Look at me, Jonathan.
I am.
I mean, really look at me, young Ekon. We may be deceptive by nature, but this heart of mine has always told the truth.
Elizabeth.
Go, my friend. But come back to me soon.
So, time to visit the Ascalon Club. cannot enter. It's locked, all right. That was the vampire I saw earlier. This war takes no prisoners.
Stay away! Burn it, boys!
enter.
No, trust the leech, boys! I hate leeches! What's yourselves? Here's one of them! Shit! You'll pay for that!
The West End. Never have I felt so sad to be back home. It's locked.
now my domain, young Ekon.
Good evening, Avery.
Mr. Jonathan? I can't believe my own eyes. Oh, it's a miracle. We all thought you were... Oh, sir, your poor sister. What a tragedy.
I know, Avery. I know about my sister's murder.
Miss Reid expected you to return to assist with the funeral, right up until the last minute. Where have you been, Mr. Jonathan? We needed you here.
How is my mother?
Not well, I'm afraid, sir. Miss Reid is very fragile since the police brought her back home.
The police? What happened?
Miss Reid was found walking in the streets. She kept saying she had spoken with her son and daughter. She's resting now.
Has she received appropriate medical care?
I'm taking care of Miss Reid myself. Hospitals are so overwhelmed by the epidemic that they can only accept patients infected by influenza.
Perhaps we could arrange a short trip. Somewhere sunny, like France. She has always been very fond of France. I think leaving London could do her good.
I'm afraid Miss Reid is too frail for the moment. Recently, she started going out at night without remembering it. I have to watch her carefully.
What is the situation in this part of town?
For a time, the West End seemed spared by the epidemic. But the situation is getting much worse.
Have you no relatives anywhere? I'll understand if you want to take a few days to see family.
Your father managed to guarantee my earnings as long as I take care of this house, sir. My sisters are dead, and I've never met my nephews. I'll stay, sir.
I'm sorry I could not be here for Mary's funeral.
Your mother was strong, sir, but your support would have been appreciated. Apart from the priest and I, no one else attended your sister's funeral.
To be present at the funeral with you both was my dearest wish, Avery. But I'm sorry, I simply could not attend.
I would not dare to question your absence, Mr. Jonathan. All I can say is that we missed you a great deal during these difficult days.
Tell me the truth, Avery. Do you feel forced to stay here? Would you leave this house without the arrangement made by my father?
No, sir. I have nowhere else to go. And I promised your father I'd take care of his family as long as I lived.
This house is dead, Avery. There is a curse on this family. You really should consider leaving.
If only you could have been here sooner or more often. Maybe this house would not be that empty. But you're here now, sir, so my task is not over.
You have served this family extremely well, Avery. Your support during these terrible times is much appreciated.
Then I will stay. All I ask is that you take care of my own funeral if I die before the end of the epidemic. No mass grave, please, sir.
Do you really think I don't take enough care of my mother, Avery?
Yes, I do, Mr. Jonathan.
You clearly have something more to say. Speak your mind, Avery.
I know you work hard to help the sick, but what will you do once the epidemic is over?
I really don't know. I have always enjoyed seeing new horizons. Once the epidemic is over, it would be nice to leave London for a while.
I understand, Mr. Jonathan. But you have to realize that your mother needs you. Your next departure could break her heart.
Goodbye, Avery. Please watch over my mother until I return.
Of course, Mr. Jonathan. But please return as soon as possible.
I cannot enter. Mother, good evening.
Jonathan! Is it you? Where have you been, my prodigal son?
I'm right here, Mother. I'm finally home.
Yes, for this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and now found. But where is your sister? Where is Mary?
Mary? She is gone, Mother.
I know she's gone. The question is, when will she return as you have? I miss my grandson so much. It's been days since their last visit.
Have you returned to Whitechapel Cemetery since Mary's funeral?
I never want to go back to that awful place. Wait. I think I went back once. And you were there too. And Mary? No, that can't be true.
It was just a bad dream, Mother.
A nightmare, yes. Mary was so angry. I walked back home alone. If that kind policeman had not called Avery from the station, I don't know what would have happened.
Tell me, Mother, how are you? All alone in this big house with only Avery to take care of you.
I'm sad most of the time. Sad that you have left me here alone. Sad that you don't tell me when you come or go.
I'm so sorry, Mother. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I was coming home. I was home. London, the Thames, and then it happened.
What happened, Johnny?
I lost my way. Somewhere between the boat and the house, my life changed completely.
You should have told me, Johnny. I would have understood. You always were a secretive little boy.
Do you need anything, Mother? Can I help you?
I just want you to stay with me, Jonathan. Your room is ready. I asked Avery to make your bed.
I'll stay as long as I can, I promise. Do you need anything else?
Just one thing. Stop staring at me like that. As much as I love you, it breaks my heart to look at those empty and dead eyes.
Are you working on a new painting?
Not recently. I have trouble focusing on my subject and my mind quickly drifts. It's the same thing when I try to write poetry.
I recently met a talented painter with an excellent technique. I wish you two could meet. I'm sure you'd like her.
I'd be glad to meet her. What is her name? Is she famous? Is she dead too?
She's not famous, and her name is of no importance. And yes, she is also dead.
The important thing is, I hope you two get along. If she ever fancies meeting your mother, I'd be glad to welcome her into my home.
Do you think Avery is right? Do you think I should take better care of you?
I don't blame you, but you abandoned me, son. A mother should not survive her children. It's unbearable to know you're not here anymore.
I wish I could stay here and take care of you. But I'm involved in some terrible things, and I don't want to put you in any danger.
You don't have to apologize to me, Johnny. Do you think I did not notice how much you have changed?
Have I changed that much, Mother? Am I still your son?
You are still, and you'll always be. Despite your pale skin, your bloody eyes, and that echoing sadness in your voice.
Why do you say Mary is visiting you, Mother? You know that's impossible.
Why should it be? Are you not standing in front of me right now? Why should it be any different with your sister?
But Mary really is dead, Mother.
Yes. And are you not dead too? Isn't your father dead? And my grandson? And my son-in-law? You're all gone. But you all still visit me from time to time.
But I'm not dead, Mother. I'm really here, talking to you, trying not to cry.
Oh, it breaks my heart to have to tell you this. But of course you're dead, my darling boy. Just look at you, as pale as my Mary.
Do you need my medical attention, Mother?
I'm all right, son. Don't worry about me.
Goodbye, Mother. Try to rest now.
Goodbye, son. Please come back soon.
There are rumors of abduction.
I said stay away, sir! Easy! Get them weapons ready! We found one! Grenade! Christ! He's dead! Last warning, sir! Leech stuff! See them fancy clothes? This one's a top! He's dead! Not a good place for a stroll. Leech stuff! Ah!
The Ascalon Club. The heart of British vampire society. Not quite as subtle as I expected.
I understand exactly what that poet meant the other night.
Good evening, sir. Please forgive me for disturbing you. I'm a doctor.
I never judge a man by his title, but by his attitude. And you are not disturbing me at all. I am Calhoun Russell, and I welcome you.
Well, I must admit it's good to receive a warm welcome for once. I'm Jonathan Reid.
Welcome, Dr. Reid. Welcome to my humble shop.
What can you tell me about this place?
I recently found the best steak and kidney pie in the city. I'd be glad to share the address if you want.
Finding a good restaurant? Is that really all that interests you?
Oh, I have many passions, but nothing brings me ecstasy like subtle and exquisite flavors from my teeth to my belly.
I must confess, I have quite specific tastes when it comes to nutrition.
Really? Well, I'm always happy to try new exotic meals. If you ever find an intriguing table, please share the address.
Is it not a little too late to be trading?
On the contrary, it is the perfect hour. Believe me, my friend, it is always at night that you meet the most fascinating characters.
But what about the epidemic? The bombs and raids? And all the random violence?
Please, sir, this is London, England. We will prevail. And if a bomb must fall on my shop, then I'll be there to hear it falling.
So you prefer to work at night?
Oh, I also enjoy a sunny day like everybody else. But the night always has a certain je ne sais quoi of its own.
Do you have any family nearby?
Not since my parents died. I'm London's lone gourmet.
London's Lone Gourmet. What a strange title.
I used that name in my early years when I was a food critic, and I kept it.
Really? But you seem to be such a pleasant and sociable fellow.
I'm afraid the real hedonist has to be sometimes. I discovered ecstasy as a solitary pleasure, but it does not mean it can't ever be shared.
I may have a look at your goods, Mr. Russell.
Come into your house. Have you noticed anything suspicious recently? Remember, don't let any strangers come in with your house. Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Do you know where you are standing right now?
In front of the Ascalon Club, I presume.
The Ascalon Club only summons or ostracizes. What is your business tonight?
I received an invitation. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid.
Welcome to the Ascalon Club, then, Dr. Reid. Please proceed. Lord Redgrave is waiting on you upstairs.
There has been quite a battle here. I'm sure the Ascalon Club has the money to replace the furniture.
Good evening. We repel the intruders for now.
My good friends, if I may have your attention. Behold our visitor, the good Dr. Reid. Newborn of blood so pure and strong that even my friend Fergal Bansher was no match for him.
Here, here, here!
Come forward, young Ekon, for we have so much to discuss. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reid. I am Lord Redgrave, Earl of Bristol and chairman of this exclusive association.
Lord Redgrave.
At last we meet. I've been eager to make your acquaintance. I've heard some astounding things about you. Please accept my condolences for your loss, Dr. Reid.
Thank you, my lord. Lady Ashbury expressed your wish to meet me.
Yes. The lady has always been a useful acquaintance, though not always reliable. Is she a good friend of yours?
She's a close friend, and I'm honored that she feels the same about me.
The centuries have taught me never to trust a woman completely, especially if she is a mortal. Too prone to emotions, if you ask me. Too fickle when it comes to important decisions.
My lord, do not expect me to speak ill of Lady Ashbury.
Of course not, and I praise your loyalty. Would you offer the same fidelity to the Empire?
What do you mean?
I speak of the skull plague that threatens London and the country. You have been on the front line in the East End, but the time has come to open up a second front here.
The epidemic has escaped the quarantine. You have new cases of the outbreak.
We don't know for certain, but we cannot allow the disease to threaten the prominent heads of Great Britain.
Why have you asked me here?
Because the crisis is escalating. Our enemies, the Garde Prewen, have even launched an open hunt. The only way to calm things down is to put an end to the epidemic.
You want me to find possible sources of the outbreak in the West End? Is that it?
Ah, straight to the point, like all eager newborns. We shall have time to talk about all this, Dr. Reid, but first, I should like to get to know you better.
Talk? Is that the only reason you asked me here?
Well, no. I also wanted to meet the intriguing Ekon who made such a powerful progeny of his sister. You have not learned the name of your maker, am I correct?
It's of no concern of yours.
Have no embarrassment, Dr. Reid. We all make mistakes. But whatever your lineage, you are definitely Ascalon material.
What do you mean?
I would like you to become a member of the Ascalon Club, and to serve me as such.
Before I accept, I have so many questions.
Please ask.
What does it mean to be a member of the Ascalon Club?
It means that you swear to protect the interests of the Crown, that you become a loyal servant of the British Empire.
Do you have any official recognition from the government? A charter from His Majesty the King?
No. Of course, the Ascalon Club publicly supports the Empire, but the true nature of its members remains a secret.
Am I supposed to follow orders?
As founder and chairman of the club, I alone am entitled to make demands of our members, and I do appreciate obedience.
What is the Ascalon Club's express purpose?
We follow the credo of William Marshall, the greatest knight who ever lived. As was he, we are sworn to protect the British Empire.
What does Ascalon mean?
Ascalon was the lance wielded by St. George, glorious patron saint of England when he slew the dragon. And like that lance, we pierce the hearts of all our nation's enemies.
William Marshall founded the Ascalon Club.
Not exactly. William Marshall granted me immortality, and I founded the club a few years later. The good knight has been gone for so long.
I killed Fergal, who claimed to be one of yours, sent to cleanse the East End of all skals. Will his death be an issue?
Do not worry. My priorities have changed. Fergal was a zealous servant of mine, but like any servant, he had his limitations and is readily replaced if necessary.
I agree to join the club.
This is good news. Good news indeed in these crucial times. Let's inform the Assembly formally and proceed with your initiation.
My initiation?
Fear not. Nothing fancy nor dangerous. It is just that we, the members of Ascalon, believe that tradition and custom are the backbone of this country. My fellow members, dear friends, please gather and welcome this Ekon as one of our own.
Is he worthy? Is his blood pure?
Well, speak, Dr. Reid, in front of the most sacred blood. The blood of our beloved William Marshall, speak now. Will you serve and protect the crown as he did?
Yes, I will.
Then, young Ekon, it is time to testify with your blood. It is time to sign the Book of Allegiance. I know it's awfully gothic and a tad pedantic, but England's traditions are the backbone of our nation. grateful. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reid. Take your place among the bearers of the lance.
One of us! One of us!
I personally went patrolling last night in the West End, and I spotted at least 2 foreign echoes. This is an outrage. We shall chase these intruders down.
I was chased by a gigantic Valcod 2 nights ago. I thought it was Fergal coming back, but no. That creature barely spoke English.
Good evening, Dr. Reid. How does it feel to be this evening's centerpiece? Figuratively.
It's quite unsettling. As a doctor, I am more used to being the observer than the subject observed.
Do not be alarmed. The Ascalon Club has a tried and tested policy for choosing its initiates.
May I ask who you are, sir?
Why would you be interested?
Well, as you seem to be the only man in the room with a beating heart, you draw quite a bit of attention yourself.
Ah, vampire senses never cease to fascinate me. They dwarf those of mere mortals. I am Aloysius Dawson, by the way.
Are you a member of the club?
Yes, I am. And I have been for many years. And will be until the day I die.
Are you sick?
Personally, I consider my advancing years are a sickness in itself. My body is slowly abandoning me, Dr. Reid.
Every night coordinating our defenses.
What can you tell me about it?
It's not really my place to give you such information. I am merely a mortal member, and a dying one at that.
Are you not afraid? You are surrounded by vampires.
Sir, it's for that very reason that I joined the club in the first place.
Is not the nature of this club a secret shared by only a privileged few?
My dear Dr. Reid, I have spent years and a fortune precisely to gather that kind of information.
So you asked for membership?
I have been a member of many clubs in many countries. But I must admit, this one is my favorite.
What can you tell me about Lord Redgrave?
I would not dare speak of our chairman without his consent.
Mr. Dawson, of Dawson and Dawson, the wealthiest man in England. It is a pleasure to meet such a prominent figure of London.
A withering London figurehead, to be precise.
Are you sick, Mr. Dawson? I am a doctor, you know.
My case is beyond the scope of traditional medicine. I have spent fortunes on the world's most competent doctors to arrive at that diagnostic conclusion.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Should I suppose that you're here in search of some form of immortality?
Absolutely not. I'm here to implement my plan to save the city I was born in. To cast out the ghastly evil that has us all on our knees.
Skals have been spotted everywhere in London. We are losing this fight.
What do you know about the Guard of Priwen?
I should not say this, but I admire their commitment. This is what the nation needs right now.
But they are our enemies.
They are not mine, Dr. Reid.
Would you help them?
No. There is a time for such methods. But brute force will not be enough to fight this plague. We have to think differently.
Money cannot solve every problem. This mysterious epidemic is going to require more than money can buy.
You're right. Money is nothing unless one has the will to wield it. I have a plan, sir. A radical one that will save all that is essential in London.
What is your plan, then?
Quarantine and barricades are futile. What we need is a wall. A formidable, unscalable wall to isolate the deserving from the infected masses.
We're facing a crisis, but I'm shocked no one took the time to clean up the mess inside.
By doing so, you would create two separate ghettos. What if the disease gets past the wall? The results would be disastrous.
Not if we eliminate all suspected cases of infection as soon as they appear. A necessary sacrifice.
Are you not mistaking sacrifice for summary execution?
Why do you care? Are you not a vampire? Removed from all mortal concerns? Decisiveness is what the city needs, and it needs it now.